So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about habits of millionaires that you can adopt in 2025. Have you ever thought about what sets those that have achieved financial freedom from those who haven't? It's not magic, honestly, it's not luck. It comes down to habits, small, consistent actions that you can build up over time. So, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about key habits that financially free people have adopted that you can start adopting today in order to also obtain financial freedom or become a millionaire if that's your goal. So stick around because by the end of this video, you'll have the roadmap to transform your mindset and start to build the right path to financial freedom. So my partner and I, we have successfully grown our property portfolio to over £1 million in under 2 years. And on this channel, we're essentially documenting our journey to financial freedom through property. We'll also talk about, having the right mindset and property education generally. So if that's something that you're interested in, feel free to subscribe to make sure you don't miss any time we upload a video. So the first habit is simple but powerful. Daily goal setting and visualization. The financially free people, they know exactly what they're trying to achieve. They know their goal and what they are trying to ultimately work toward. And they remind themselves of it every single day. I know that can sound a lot, but honestly, it's almost like a reminder of maybe why you're waking up in the morning to go to that job that actually maybe you're tired of and you're thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. But having that ultimate goal in your mind or daily visualizing what it is that you're trying to achieve will almost give you that self motivation to keep going and knowing that the situation that you're in isn't permanent. And so I'm sure you've heard of, SMART goals, so specific, measurable, action, realistic, and time bound. So really, I don't think goals need to actually meet each letter, but I think they do need to be specific and measurable. So for example, instead of saying I want to save money, you could say I want to save £10,000 by the end of the year. So that is specific in the figure, £10,000, and it's measurable. So you would actually know whether you have obtained that goal if you have hit the 10,000 mark or not. So at least make them specific and measurable. So when it comes to visualization, I really do encourage you to actually visualize it. So for all my Christians out there, because I am a Christian, there's actually a Bible verse that really resonates with me quite well, which is Mark 9, verse 23, which says, everything is possible for one who believes. So if you don't see it or believe it, then it's really impossible to achieve that thing. So I really think, power of the mind and your thoughts are so powerful. It all starts from your thoughts because your thoughts ultimately become things. So whether it's positive or negative, I think that whatever we think of can really come to fruition. So I think it starts with visualizing. It can be the first thing you do when you wake up, or maybe the last thing you do before you go to bed, is visualizing what those goals that you're trying to achieve are. And there are some tools out there like journaling or vision boards. That's something that my partner and I we did this year, and actually we do every year. And we start around November in order to give ourselves enough time to be prepared for the new year. So we start with either revising and taking a look back on the previous year on our vision board and seeing if there's anything we want to add or maybe potentially alter because things do change. And we really put that out there into the atmosphere, into the universe to essentially motivate us to achieve that goal. And that's something that millionaires and financially free people have said to also do. Financially free people are masters of their budget. They track every single pound. If you don't know where your money is going, how can you control it? It's almost like driving blindfolded because you have no idea where you're going. If you track your spending, it actually provides the opportunity for you to save some costs and actually reveal some patterns that you might not even realize exist. So, for example, if you are ordering a takeout several times in a week, and in a month that might come up to like £200 a month, but really that could easily be replaced by home cooked meals maybe 2 weeks out of a month, and then you can ultimately cut that cost in half. But you wouldn't know that if you weren't tracking your expenses or how much you're spending. So there's a powerful tool there that you can adopt right now in your life if you start to track your money and know exactly where it's going. And then that way you can also not miss out on the occasional treat with your takeaways. Because I appreciate that, sometimes you might not be bothered and you can't be asked to cook, and sometimes you just need a takeaway, and that's okay. but you actually taking a step back and realizing how much you're spending might make you think, is that how much you really want to be spending on takeaway? And can you start cooking some home meals instead? But that's obviously down to personal preference, but it gives you the opportunity to make that decision. And the best part is you're not depriving yourself. You're simply just being more intentional about the money that you are earning and where it's going. So making your money work better for you and it just not wasting. So start today. Just take 5 minutes out of your day to go through your bank statement and maybe consider using an app, or you can even start with a simple Excel. If that's something you're interested in terms of Excel templates, feel free to drop it down in a comment and I will send a link directly to you. So there's also the 50-30-20 rule. Now, if you haven't heard about this, let me break it down for you. The 50-30-20 rule is one of the simplest and most effective budgeting methods to manage your money. Now, here's how it works. You divide your after-tax income into 3 categories: your needs, your wants, savings, or debt repayment, if that's applicable to you. 50% for your needs. These are the things that you cannot do without. Things like your rent or your mortgage payments, utilities, your groceries, the basic necessities of life. Then we come to your wants. Things that, this is like your fun money. Things that not necessarily a need, but more of a want. And, it brings you some joy because at the end of the day, we still need to live our lives and enjoy on a daily basis. I get that, trust me. So it can be dining out, entertainment, your social life, whatever it is essentially making sure that you are able to still live, but without overdoing it on spending. And then we have 20% for savings or debt repayments. Now, the reason why it's either or is because ideally you want to repay all your debts first before you start thinking about saving, because if you do it the other way, it's almost cancelling it out. 20% of your income should go towards your financial future. This, could start with saving for an emergency fund. Everyone needs their emergency fund. It can be between 6 to 12 months. Some people say 3 months. I would say minimum of 6 months of your standard household costs. So in the event that you no longer have your standard income, you would have a 6 months buffer before you get back on your feet. And hopefully it wouldn't take that long. This would also be contributing to your retirement or investing. So this 20% would be allocated, again, just to recap, for your savings or any debt repayment. And so the beauty of the 50-30-20 rule is simply its simplicity. And I think it's a great starting point for anyone who wants to start with budgeting without it being overwhelming. I think it's a really basic tool to use and something for you to consider if you want to just keep it simple but really be in control of your finances. Habit 3, investing in self-education. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to managing money. Financially free people never stop learning about wealth building strategies, property market, and financially planning. I really encourage you to go into reading books, listening to podcasts or finance workshops, and actually networking with people as well. So surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals. There are so many popular resources out there. If you start with the basic, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or The Barefoot Investor by Scott Pape. Because really staying informed, it really does help you avoid costly mistakes and it allows you to invest smarter and make better informed decisions. Habit 4, diversifying income streams. So financial freedom isn't about putting all your eggs in one basket. So most financially free people, they have multiple streams of income. And I was really adamant about building multiple streams of income and not just relying on my 9 to 5. Even beyond the point when I started earning 6 figures, it wasn't enough for me to say, I'm earning 6 figures and so that's okay. I'm not going to worry about having multiple streams of income because that one job could go. They can make me redundant. For me, it was really important to ensure that I have multiple streams of income and ultimately to replace my 9 to 5. Because we have, there's the difference between active and passive income. Right now, for me, my active income is my 9 to 5. But my passive is the properties that I've now acquired and I'm getting a rental income. But don't get me wrong, passive income, it's only passive out after you've actually put a lot of active work and energy into it. So in the beginning, it's not passive at all because you have to, it depends on your strategy when it comes to property. If you're buying a property, you have to go into doing research. If you're doing a renovation, there's a lot of work that goes into that. But once that has all been completed, then it becomes passive. So the income that I'm getting now from my rental properties, I would say I spent about maybe 5% of my time on that, and that's only point of times in the year. And so I think there's a sense of stability that comes with not just having one source of income, and that's something that financially free people really are enjoying. So definitely consider ways that you diversify your income. And just to mention a few, there's things like you can start with investing, having any side businesses if you don't have the capital to start with buying a property. You can think about Airbnb businesses, or having any side businesses or hustles that really spark your interest, or maybe that's a passion of yours. Try and turn that into you bringing some income into your pockets. Habit 5, avoid lifestyle inflation. So one of the biggest traps is once you earn more, you spend more. Now, that's one thing that financially free people avoid doing. And that's something that I have personally started to practice. So each time maybe my salary will go up, I do not spend more. I actually save more and put it more into the various businesses that I'm running, whether it's property, whether it's fashion, whatever it is, I'm actually making a conscious effort not to spend more. Because I really think, and I've seen for people that have gone before me, delayed gratification leads to greater long-term rewards. Taking calculated risks. Financial freedom, I think it requires stepping out of your comfort zone. So there's a saying about being uncomfortable to be comfortable. That's something that I think I remember back in 2017 maybe. And at one point in my life, I thought, actually, I may take a step back in order to go forward. So it was a very uncomfortable situation. But 6 months later, it actually allowed me to accelerate my career path and the trajectory of my career in a really positive way. So you really want to assess the risk versus reward as well. So when it comes to property, you want to make sure you do sufficient research before you decide to invest in a particular deal, or if it's an investment area. For example, it could be starting small. So if you really want to get into property, so maybe your goal is to focus on HMOs, you can start with maybe just starting with one buy-to-let property and then next go into HMOs rather than doing HMOs first. Some people say just go straight into HMOs, but that can also be risky. So I think it just depends on your risk appetite. If you have a high risk threshold, then maybe going straight into HMO, it would be just fine for you. I think you need to be able to know what your risk appetite is and how much risk you're willing to take on. That's what your risk appetite essentially means. Because ultimately, fear doesn't grow wealth, but action does. And lastly, don't forget to celebrate the small wins. So obtaining financial freedom, I know too well that it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And that's why celebrating the wins along the way is so important. Sometimes I do think that we can get so sucked up in the things we're trying to achieve that we actually forget how much we have already achieved and how far we've come. So celebrating that progress can really keep your motivation going for what you're after. So after sharing all of those, what do you think will be the hardest one to actually stick to? Let me know in the comments. And in the next video, I'll be talking about some financial freedom myths that may be holding you back. And I'm going to debunk them all. Please do hit the like button and share and subscribe for more. See ya on the next one.